Matt, Dabassdude here, and on week 4 of GearTox, we'll be talking about one of my all-time favorite basses and why I think they're so cool. Also, when I was looking at my analytics, I've noticed that most of the viewers on my videos are not subscribed to me, and I mean, that's okay, obviously fine, but if you have the time and feel obliged to do so, definitely drop a subscribe down below, like this video, whatever you feel like is worthwhile doing, because to grow this community would mean the world to me. Anyways, let's get right to it. Alright, so this week on GearTox we'll be talking about my Traben Array 4. Honestly, it's one of my favorite basses that I've ever possessed, and I'm about to tell you why. But first, let's get into the specs. So, the Traben Array 4, the one that I have, comes in like a matte black finish, which I absolutely adore. It's awesome. Then for specs, you got a basswood body with a maple neck and a rosewood fretboard. And it has these like pretty cool abalone dot inlays, which I think are pretty cool. Because I mean, the dot inlays alone aren't special, but by doing something small like this, classes them up just a little bit more. And I absolutely adore that. Apparently, underneath this finish, there would have been a quilt maple top, which you can see reflected on other models with different finishes. However, the one that I happen to come across is in the matte black finish, so that's okay. It's a 34-inch scale length, and in my opinion, this handles low tunings really great. And the reason being is because of their bridge designs. So this has what's called the tribal flame bridge. But so the big thing about Traben as a company was their claim to fame was like more bridge mass, better tone. So if you look here, this is actually just like one piece of metal, and the mass kind of goes all around this pickup. Giant block right here, and it's a string through design. Shout out to our Comic Collapse. I threw the sticker on the back of it. So like there's all that going for it. So in the end, it has like a very like rich tone because of all the sustainability that it has with this. Let's see here. To go further, the electronics are a 3-band active EQ with a blend and volume knob, and then it's Traben's very own pickups. They're called the Traben SM combo. No idea what it means, and it's kind of hard to find information on this bass at this point, so it's fun. 24 frets. Then they got their own take on the carved away headstock. One of my favorite things about this bass is actually how it kind of mirrored my Schecter's, and so yeah, I'll get more to that later, but it's really sweet. Let's see here. Has its like very carved and borderline spiky shape. Let's see here on the back. It's a bolt-on neck construction, by the way. So it has, that's how they do theirs, and it's apparently called a Traben deadbolt neck joint. So that's pretty sweet. And then there's the battery compartment, there's the electronics compartment, and the neck. There's a very light level of flame on it that I enjoy, and that I didn't really notice until like I got it in like certain lights. It's pretty sweet. I don't know if I can capture it on camera. And there's the scarf joint. This bass particularly was made in 2009. There's the serial number. And the reason why this bass is also really cool because it came stock with Grover tuners. Now for the history behind this instrument. First of all, Traben was a really cool, like, small niche company that was more operational around the late 2000s, early 2010s. I believe the latest that they manufactured instruments was to 2016. I will fact check myself, however. Traben was a bass company founded by Tracy Hoft and Ben Chafin, and so as a result, the name Traben is actually a combination of their two names, which is pretty cool. And so Traben ended up getting picked up by the Hanser Music Group. Hanser Music Group. And to put it in perspective, they also like cooperated with like BC Rich and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool to think that's like some of the companies they were affiliated with. As I said during the specs, Traben basses were known for their like obnoxious bridges that were designed to allow for more sustainability due to the fact of like more mass on the body connecting and all that stuff, which is the same concept behind like high mass bridges, so it's pretty sweet. However, a couple years ago I did email a representative from the Hanser Music Group, and at first, so this was like 2018 I'd say, they were talking about how Traben was going to come back in the 2019 nom, like just 2019 I think winter nom, so that was kind of cool. I was pretty excited. This bass company has become one of my favorites. However, when I corresponded with him just a week ago, because I was making this video, he has since stated that the Hanser Music Group has sold most of their assets and are holding on to the Traben name. They currently have essentially closed down the product line. However, they did say that they are more than willing to sell the company name off to someone that is willing to start it back up. So that's a cool little tidbit of information. You could own this company. If I had the money, I can bet you I would sure do it, but I'm a broke college kid, so that's not happening anytime soon. So this video also serves as a PSA. If you want to own a pretty cool music instrument business that has a pretty respected following, definitely feel free to comment down below or message me on any of my social media. I will happily put you in contact with the Hanser representative that I was talking with, because I would love to see this company come back. Going from there, we'll talk about my personal connections with this bass. So, if I would have bought this new, this bass would have been $700. However, the beauty of like more boutique brands, as creative instruments as they are, like big chains like Guitar Center, don't know how to properly price them because they are more of a niche market. So I ended up getting this bass for $200. So that was a $500 discount for a bass that was hardly used. All the wear that you saw in the specs video was all because of me. Like, that was my natural wear. When I got this bass, it was brand new still. There was some slight wear on the frets, I think. Like, they looked a little discolored, but that was probably because of someone just storing this and never playing it. And everything else since has been because of me. For the first couple years of Agony, this was actually my main like D standard drop C bass. So I used this on Illusion and Death from Within Live all the time, and I love this bass. It's very comparable playability wise to my Schecter basses, which is why I clicked with it so much, because at the time I just had my Schecter Ohm Extreme 4 plus like a Squier P bass, and like it was a great bass obviously, but I wanted a comparable second bass to use for my other tunings. And then when I finally found this in a Guitar Center, I had to pick it up. Like, let's say I went in on a Friday, I came back on a Saturday and bought it. Like, I got home and thought about it, and like, I'm not letting that bass pass up. And this has happily been in my possession since, and that was like 2016. So that's pretty sweet. The reason why I got turned on to this bass company was because of Hollywood Undead. So back when I was, a big Hollywood Undead fan, I honestly enjoy the band, and I still like listening to them. And I will happily see them in concert whenever they come back, but this was back when I was like fanboy status. I was curious because I was like, well, what type of basses does the band use? And so I looked into it, and some website claimed that they used Traben basses, and I ended up getting low-key, like, heavily invested into Traben back in like 2014, 2015. I was researching a lot of stuff about the company, and I just kept looking. But that was when I was, in middle school, so I didn't have the money to buy a $700 bass just because I wanted to. So I kind of forgot that dream. And then when I came into that Guitar Center a couple years later, I saw... Okay, so what originally happened was I picked up ESP LTD 5-string that was in front of it, and because I had never played an LTD bass before. And I'm like, well, let's try it. Let's see what the hype is about. I didn't like it. Like, the fret ends were way too sharp. Honestly, the previous owner must have not taken care of that bass, because, like, it was a slimy fretboard to play, and I don't know how. So I just didn't like it. I was about ready to call it quits on that Guitar Center trip, but as I was putting it back, I saw this obnoxious bridge, and I'm like, what is that? And I picked it up. Sure enough, it was this bass. And as soon as I saw the name on the headstock, I was like, holy crap. this is the company that I was looking into years ago that I just never could afford. And when I saw the price tag, I was like instantly sold and intrigued on the idea of owning it, because I was like, it plays really nice and it looks really good. So I went home that night, put some thought into it, and here I am now. What's cool, and so at this point I'm just fully on the Schecter bandwagon, and I played 2 Schecter basses live. But if I would have kept playing this bass, I would have loved to see how it wore down, because I don't know if I caught it well enough in the videos, but right here you can see how I pick. As I said in my Gibson video about Seeker, what I love about matte finishes is they wear away beautifully to where you can tell how the person played. And if I honestly can assume that if I kept playing this instrument, it would have done the same on this. However, I now own 2 Schecter basses that I love playing, so I don't know how much I'm going to bring this out more. Maybe I'll find some like black metal band to play with to just pull this out for the aesthetic, because, you know, it's more of a sharper instrument than what a Schecter looks like, maybe. Also, what really sold me on this idea was I personally really liked the look of the Schecter Riot shapes. However, whenever I played one, they were just absurdly heavy for me. I do not know what it was, but the woods that those instruments were constructed of, they were just always so heavy when I tried to play one. And I loved the body shape, I loved how they played, but I could never buy one because I'm like, this would just hurt to play after a certain point. And then I found this bass, which looks very similar. I'll put a comparison up now. And one, the fact that it played almost identically to my Schecter Ohm Extreme at the time, I was sold on that fact. But then also the body shape and the weight was also like perfect for me, so that's why I picked it up. This was just an instrument that I had a lot of pride in owning. It was one of my main basses for about 3 to 4 years, and I will happily hold on to this bass forever because this has just earned its way as one of my favorite basses of all time. When it was like freshly restrung and put batteries in it, the tone that it would get on drops and like the drop C stuff, especially through my dark glass, insane. And I might just pull this out every now and then for Agony just to relive that, because it was awesome. It was really cool, and I might pull it out to replace the Ohm Extreme every now and then. And then also, like, how I got this, it just like was perfect for me as a budding bassist, and I'm like, heck yeah, I think this was meant to be. And as I said, if you have the funds or the means to acquire a music company, or you know someone that does, you too could own this company, and you could bring it back and honestly be a fairly competitive market in the more boutique end of basses. I will not say it will compete with like the Schecters out there, but you might be able to sell this off and be like comparable to more of the boutique models that are more affordable too, which is a really cool market to go to, because the 2 other people that I found in our local scene that have played or owned a Traben, they both say it was probably one of the best basses they ever played. So there's a lot to work with in this company if you happen to have the funds to do so. So I would honestly encourage it if whoever's watching this feels the need to do so. Again, if you would like the contact information, message me on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, and I will happily provide the email. Alright, and that concludes the story section of this, and now we're going to get into the tone demos. you for watching this episode of my Traben Array 4. This has been GearTox, where I believe all gear is a story, so I will leave you by asking, what's yours?